what it is? Do you know what that is? You know the giggle, when you get the giggles, do you know what that actually is?
What is that?
That is your inner piglet.
Yeah, it's funny. So I'm more Tigger than Piglet.
Yeah, no, Tigger, yeah, bouncy.
Oh dear, that's funny. Right.
Right then, well, look at that, perfectly timed as well. It's 6 o'clock.
Cool.
Right, so thumb poised over the start button. Have you got your YouTube and everything else sorted and ready to rock?
I have indeed.
Right, I'll do the countdown and press the start button, and then it's over to you.
Lovely. Thank you.
Have a great show. See you on the other side.
Indeed.
3, 2, 1.
Hello all. Yeah, we had the giggles just before the show, so if we carry on with the giggles, then please excuse us. On tonight's show, thank you, Tim, for this suggestion of when I get little notes coming in, I do fresh off the press kind of thing. So I like that. So if I get any notes, I will do that. I've got a weird fly buzzing around here at the moment. Okay, so on with the show. Divination is the name of the game. What is divination? So, very broadly speaking, divination is the collective name for the use of a tool or tools which enable you to receive an answer to a question. That's its very basic what's the word? Definition. Yeah. So divination can include scrying, astrology, numerology, using die, I Ching. There are many ways, and I'll get into that a little bit later. But what I would say is whatever works for you. So divination really, what it really is, when you strip back all the tools, what it really is working with spirit, i.e. you. Because you are a spirit in a physical body. When people talk about working with spirit, they always just assume that it's someone over there that's passed or someone up there who's ascended, but in fact it's yourself that you're working with. Now that might sound a bit weird, but take it like this. So everyone is psychic. I don't care who you are, everyone is psychic, because they all have, most people, unless they're some kind of clone or an NPC, of course, but most people have a connection to the part of them that is bigger and sees everything. You could call that your higher self, the God self, your I am presence. Many ways to look at that, but essentially that is what you are connecting with when you are doing any form of divination. What I would say, it is possible to close off your psychic abilities. I've known people in the past who got a bit freaked out by what they were experiencing psychic-wise, and they shut them off for many years in some cases, and some people switch it off permanently because they can't deal with it. So, if you do not want to experience those things, you can do that, okay? So what I would say as well, right now, in this particular time that we're in, this space and time we're in, we can choose our belief system, if you want to call it that. So how we experience and explore this spirit side of life, you could call that the awakening, your ascension journey, the synchronistic unfolding path, blah, blah, blah. After many eons, maybe not eons, but a very long time of dogmatic condemnation of this practice. So we have that freedom now to be able to choose. I mean, yeah, there are still some, people out there who are body snatcher style. If you tell them you're a witch and that you do, I don't know, you do scrying with a bowl of water, they'll think you're some kind of weird demon. But that's their stuff. That's what I'd say about that. So whether you choose to be spiritually aware of, this connection that you have with, the part of you that's bigger and sees everything, but also other spirits, which, could be part of the same thing that's above the part of you that's bigger and sees everything, or, part of a different little group, if you like. I would say it's not the easiest path, because it's not the path that most people take. And it does take what Ian's teacher would have said is personal responsibility and self-discipline, which is probably why a lot of people don't want to be awakened on this path, because it's, I suppose you could say, it's a calling. It's not something you go to college and study, although there are places that study this kind of thing. But as far as I know, there isn't a degree in spiritual awakening, although there might be, I don't know. And it can sometimes also come about through very difficult circumstances, like a bereavement, an illness, or a trauma. Or it may come another way through things like meditation, yoga, things like that. But what I would say is meditation is a really good facilitator for working with spirit and honing your divination skills. What I would say, so a lot of people would argue that if you're doing divination, you're inviting something in, you don't know what it is, and you need to be careful and all the rest of it. Yeah. Well, what I would say to that is, yes, have respect for, the etheric realms, you could call them. Yeah. The spirit realms. They have as much right to be here as you do. Yeah. But just remember, who's driving the car here? Well, you're in the physical body. You have dominion over this third dimensional reality. So you are in control. Yeah. You have dominion over your world, and no spirit, I don't care who they are, has any dominion over you. They are not in the physical realm. They're in spirit. Yeah. You are. Okay. The other thing I would say when you're doing divination work is the power to listen. And I mean, really listen. Listen with your whole being, not just things that we call ears. Yeah. And learning how to come to this divination practice in a centered way that is not attached to any particular outcome, which is a skill in and of itself. And also knowing, know thyself. Yeah. Because, I mean, it was funny, we were talking about this the other day. If you don't know yourself, when you come to any kind of occult or magical or spiritual practice, and, you encounter something that you're not sure about, and, maybe, if you believe that something can come in and take over you, then you are allowing that to happen. You are ticking the box and subscribing to that. Yeah. So if you know yourself inside out, then you will know if something odd like that has happened. And then obviously the tools that you have, you're able to get rid of it. Yeah. Looking at my notes. Yeah, so as in this physical world, being streetwise, in the spirit world is good. Asking questions, challenging spirits or entities which you feel may not be genuinely helping you. And it's always good to set that intention beforehand, yeah, if you're doing any kind of divination practice. And don't be afraid to tell them to leave if they are leading you down a merry path. You are in control. So tell them to leave. You know, tell them to off, yeah. You ask them to leave politely, and if they don't, then you send them to the light, yeah, because the light is the void space that's love. So they're not going you're not booting them out of the door. You open the door and ask them to leave politely, yeah, and if they don't, then you might get a bit firm. Something that I learned, so when was that? That was early. Was it early? No, I think it was last year, near the end of last year. Really interesting experience I had for 3 nights in a row, and I couldn't sleep. I wasn't ill, but I wasn't 100%. And something I was getting whilst I was in this really strange place, in that liminal space when you're not quite asleep, is I was I was promoted, if you like, in the etheric realms as a psychopomp for three nights, just 3 nights. It's never happened again. Yeah. So I don't know if something was happening with spirits or people leaving their physical bodies at the end of last year. I don't know. I tend to take these things at face value, and I might go and research afterwards, see what was happening, but I didn't. I had too much other stuff going on. Anyway, so one of the things, so it's like, well, the only way I can describe it, it was like a massive room filled with loads of people jostling all over the place, and they were scared, which I can understand. So I was given the tools to, first of all, just calm everyone down. And then, there were 2 doors that they could go through. One was if they felt ready to go into the light, then they could go through that door. But the other door was if they didn't feel ready, if they really didn't feel ready to embrace that, love consciousness, as we would call it, the void space, then the other door they could go through was more of a okay, I'm going to just go back and just, maybe go over some stuff. And then, I might come back and go through the other door when I'm ready. So what was really interesting about that is I was given that tool of, if you're not ready to go through that door, then you can leave through this door. But everyone is leaving this room because it was very noisy. It's very noisy. They're not quiet, spirit, I'll tell you that now. So, never ever be afraid to tell them to leave. Another example I can give you is 2 actually. The first one was one of the first times I did ritual, and I opened the circle. I forgot to close it, and I could see out of the corner of my eye these little black things running around. Yeah, and I'm like, oh, bugger. And Ian said, well, you'll learn the hard way, obviously. I'm like, yeah. So we had to do a big banish, and I never forgot to close the circle again. And the other one was, again, I was in that strange liminal place between awake and sleep, and this face came at me. It's like, supposed to be really scary, like a demon face. It went and came right up to my face, and I went, okay, is that what you got? You're going to pull a face at me? Okay. I went back to sleep again. So never be afraid of these things. And believe me, guys, I used to be scared of anything that I couldn't see. So for me, this was a big journey of facing those things that I was really scared of. So my question, I suppose, would be, so if you're wanting to do like divination, any kind of divination work, or working with spirit generally, what is your focus? What is your reason for wanting to do this work? As as a witch, as an occultist, as kind of what we do, because we're always on this synchronistic unfolding path, if you like. So we're always doing that. And in meditation, that's what you're connecting to. You're connecting with your your I am presence, which is humongous. But it could be that you want to, I don't know, hone your divination skills. It could be mediumship that you're after doing, or ghost hunting. That's always interesting. Or going to places, and we've done this a few times. Go to places and we get people to open themselves up to the energies of the place that we're visiting. And we get some amazing stuff come through. We really do. But, I could talk about that for a long time, but I'm not going to. It could just be that you're asking for guidance, which is where things like tarot and oracle cards come in really well. It could be giving messages to people, spiritualism. Maybe you just want to attract your spirit guides or your animal guides. Whatever the reason is, working with spirit really does involve, there's lots of things. So, the stepping back, the allowing things to unfold, the imagination is key here as well. People just say, oh, it's just your imagination. Well, everything on this planet, everything on this planet began as a blueprint. That's someone taking something out of their mind and putting it onto paper or onto a template. Nature doesn't have bits of paper everywhere saying this is a blueprint, but you get the idea. So without imagination, there would be nothing. This lamp, this phone, this paper, this book, these crystals I've got here. There would be nothing, none of that, without imagination on some level. Yeah. So, So I'm going to talk a little bit about different forms of divination. So you can do divination with anything. Could be cornflakes. Seriously. Could be clouds, paintings, leaves. I really enjoy doing divination with crystals, actually. Crystals are amazing for doing divination with. And I've got a little surprise for you later. Okay. So stick around. Pendulums. Oh, I love pendulums. I've got some amazing pendulums, but the one I really love, which is my one I use for Akashic record work, it's an Enochian. It's a quartz crystal sphere with silver. It's like a silver housing it's in, and it's absolutely stunning. Enochian? Yes, Enochian. It's very, very old, and I've got it in Watkins actually many years ago. So I do love pendulums. Dowsing rods, amazing. So this idea that when you're working with spirit, you're actually working with yourself. So all your tools, all of your divination tools are an extension of yourself. Yeah. But even stripping that back, your whole body is like a divining rod. Seriously. So really, you don't need any props, any tools to do divination, because your body will act like a divination rod. If you are open to the energies and you develop those parameters, if you like, you do need to set parameters, obviously. What's the framework that you're working in? For example, Because we're all connected to divine source energy, yeah. And all that prop is doing, all that tool is doing, is bringing that connection into the tangible physical world, yeah. But you do have to set the parameters, like with a pendulum. You know, you ask it, what's yes, what's maybe, what's no. And I'll tell you now, it'll be different for every single pendulum. Different pendulums have different ways they like to work. So never take it as read that one pendulum will, you know, give you answers the same way as another. No, definitely not. And I have a PDF that I can share in the group, actually. If you want a really powerful way to program your pendulum, I'll share that in the group afterwards. So the parameters you set. So, for example, one of our favourite ways to do divination is there's a road that goes through the marshes where we walk. Yeah, and if we walk up to the bridge, the bridge is actually this big, it's like a dual carriageway type. It's not that wide, but it's a 4-lane road basically called the A206. So we call that the A206 divinations. So we'll ask a question, and we've already set the parameters of what's a yes and what's a no. You know, what sort of messages we'll take. If they're very, very clear, we'll take the message. But if it's a bit ambiguous, we don't take it because it doesn't make sense. So you can be that specific. You can command that because you're in control. Remember, you're driving the car. Now, you going to let the 2-year-old in the back seat drive the car, or are you going to drive it yourself? You're going to drive it yourself, aren't you? Oh, breaking news. What have we got? Oh, yes, thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Getting lots of props here. Breaking news. We have props. Let's put those down there for a sec. So, yeah, the message is on the side of lorries. So we will ask a question and, you know, we will ask for answers. And what we realised is it's the architects that are answering the questions. And there's 2 architects that so we know when they're engaged because we'll see Eddie Stobart, so that's Eddie that comes past, and then Abby comes past. So Eddie's the head honcho and Abby is his like assistant. So they're the only 2 names we ever get that engage with us with this Q&A, if you like. But yeah, there's a setting of parameters like what you know, what messages are acceptable, but if it's not clear, we don't accept it. If it's a big, if it's the answer is no, then it's a great big red thing on the side of a lorry. If the answer is yes, it's green. Yeah, that's the parameters we set, and it's fun as well. And we've had some very cool messages. I saw my name on the side of a lorry once. It was like, okay, I can't miss that one. It actually says my name and my surname, which is not a common name, Welton. It's not a common name at all. And I saw it on the side of a truck. It's definitely trying to get my attention. So, you know, before you do any kind of divination, you know, grounding is very important. Oh, I've got nowhere to put that in. I put it on there. It's not stable. Oh, we have more breaking news. We have a crystal ball. That's Ian's. I've got nowhere to put it. It's very heavy. Oh, right. Put that down there. Yeah, so grounding is very important. So again, whichever way you find is the best way for you to ground, do that. Yeah. And absolutely, when you go into divination, you have to keep an open mind. You cannot go in with any kind of attachment to a particular answer. because it will. And like with a pendulum, for example, it will reflect that back to you. What you want to hear, it will absolutely reflect that back to you. Now, a really cool thing that I've been doing recently, which is why I've introduced it into when we draw cards, is I've got 2 or 3 readers that I look at on YouTube, and sometimes I'll be sitting there listening, and all of a sudden I get the message, go and get your cards. I'm like, oh God. Okay, I'll go and get my cards. So I'll pull cards alongside the reading, yeah, and get some incredible results. But what that does for me is it keeps that flow of information open, because all I'm doing is pulling cards alongside. Yeah, it's a really interesting way. So if there are on YouTube, if there are some readers that you really like and you really like their messages, but because it's not an individual reading, you don't necessarily get all the fine details. Pull cards alongside, and I promise you, you will be surprised, and pleasantly surprised as well.
I do that, Angie. I do that.
Yeah, it's a really, really cool practice. I really love it. So one of the things, so if you're using any kind of divination tool, I suppose you could say, yeah, any kind of divination tool, even if you're creating your own, if you are physically creating a divination tool, you would want it cleansed and charged for the purpose. Yeah. And you can do that with light. You can do that with your hands. Yeah. It's that simple, with the intention. Or, and I've done this and it's very cool. You can, you can have a little ritual around it, which is really cool. Programming things like coins, because coins are really good for yes or no answers. they can be a little bit trickstery, I will say. So be careful what you're asking the coin. I have 2 coins that I use sometimes. Not so much actually these days, but for pendulums, like I say, I will share a PDF in the group for it's a really it covers all bases with pendulums. So it's programming it not just in a surface level way. It programs it up into the Akashic records, which is really, really cool. So yeah, coins are really good if you just want a quick answer, yes or no. But being extremely specific with your question is key with that. Yeah. But again, if the coin gets a bit tricky, tell it to behave, because you're in control. To most people out there, oh, she's talking to a coin. She's a bit mad. Yeah, I am. So you've also got things like, I don't use runes myself. I use sticks, which we had out last week. So these are staves. So they're basically symbols carved on different types of wood. Each stave is a different type of wood, and they all mean different things. They all represent different things, because each tree that the wood comes from has a different energy. Yeah. What else? Oh, mirrors. Mirror magic. We've just had Rama's Day, which was last weekend, Friday and Saturday, I think that was, which is all about mirror magic. Yeah. So mirror magic is usually done with either you can use a crystal ball, like the one I don't know if I can lift it up from here. There we go. Crystal ball. That is actually optical glass.
What about an obsidian scrying mirror, Angie?
Yeah, I've got a small one of those, but when I wanted to, so I wanted to do, I've done mirror magic using long mirrors that are placed on their side, like in a semicircle. Now that is interesting. But what we actually this was back in 2019, I think. We were watching a series on YouTube called Helia, which is all about the synchromistic path, that journey. And one of the things they were doing was they were using what's called a psychomantium. And I as soon as I heard that word, I'm like, what is that? I must have one of those. It's not something you can buy. You have to make it. And it's basically what it looks like. It looks like a flat TV screen. But it's basically a black frame which you paint with like a matte black paint that's got divination herbs in it. So you paint it on the back surface of the frame. It's not usually glass these days, it's like a plexiglass type stuff. And what you do is you use it to open a portal. And what we were doing with it, we were setting our illuminated path. So the intention was, and we would do this every Samhain, is we would open the portal, reset the illuminated path that we would be walking in such a way that it would be very obvious. It's like, it's not little candles flickering. This is neon signs. We wanted neon signs on our path because, there's so much interference. So that was what we were doing with the psychomantium. But you can use a black polished piece of obsidian. You can make a smaller mirror for scrying with. It doesn't have to be like the size of I think it's a 32-inch frame that we've got that we use. So it's a big portal, and we were using optical calcite to which is the pineal gland, to activate it with sound, and it was quite phenomenal actually. The first few times we did it, and then what we realized is we can activate it with our own light, which was even more phenomenal. Other things, obviously pendulums, talisman. You can do divination work with talisman. Crystals are amazing for divination work. So you can put, like tumblestones in a bag, ask a question, pull out a crystal, and you can either use your link to the crystal to get the message, or you can look it up in a book. There's nothing wrong with looking it up in a book. But the tumblestones are really, really good for that. What I would say is, if you are doing that for other people are picking the stones out, make sure you cleanse them, because the energy could stick to the crystals. Keys are one of my favorite things to do divination with. So if you're feeling lost in any way, literally, if you feel lost, you can use key. You can also call on Hecate, because she will help you with that if you need an answer to a problem. So different types of keys. So we've mainly got iron keys, but I do have a massive, great big brass key as well, which is Bridget's. So the metal that they're made from is also part of the divination process. So iron connects to earth and the spirit world. Brass connects to fire and the conscious mind. Copper connects to your higher self, also the subconscious mind, and water. So depending on, what it is that you want an answer to, that makes sense, you can certainly use keys. I really like keys. I have many of these like old iron keys knocking about. I just love them. They're great. And if you haven't got one, go on eBay. There's always someone selling these old iron keys that have just, turned up, if you like. Cards, obviously, cards. I think cards, next to crystals, cards are my next favourite way of doing divination, because there's just so many out there. they're easy to get hold of. You know, with things like tarot, there is a learning process, obviously, which is what we're doing on a Tuesday. We're kind of getting to grips and, you know, really getting into the disarming of it, so it's not quite so intimidating, because I think tarot cards can be a bit intimidating sometimes. But you know, that's the imagination, that's your intuition, you know, when you're reading these things. And there are so many other ways to divine. Feathers is another really good one. Even, you know, just, you know, you might not have sticks, but just using trees, just seeing what comes up as you are, you know, maybe you're doing a witch walk, and just see what comes in front of your magical eyes. So you can also scry using water. That's another really good one, actually. It's sort of a mirror magic. So if you, I mean, ideally you want a black bowl with water in it, and a darkened room. I mean, most of these things, especially if you're doing mirror magic, darkened room, always. And if you're feeling really special, although I can give you a hangover, mugwort and wormwood, burn that on some coals, but don't burn too much, because you will have a hangover in the morning. It's really strange. But you can use water in a black bowl for scrying. Obviously, there's tea leaves as well. Tea leaves are a thing. Paintings, drawings, which is why another reason why I like tarot cards, because each card in and of itself is a journey, is a divination. Yeah. What else would I like to talk about? Hang on, I've got some more notes here.
You'll have to design your own deck, Benji. I'd like to do that one day.
Yeah, that's not my thing. Ian's designed a deck, which we were talking about the other day. All it needs is the images scanning in, and because Ian is dyslexic, I edit the text, and that's all that it needs, and then putting it together in a format that is pleasing. I'm not going to be creating a deck. Although saying that, I have a crystal oracle deck, which is okay. It's brilliant, but it needs more cards, because I've got so many crystals that aren't in the deck. So I need to add to the deck. So I might do that, but I'm certainly not going to be creating my own deck. No way. I do not have the patience to do that. I'd run out of steam, and it would just, yeah, it'd be one of those projects that never gets finished. So what I would say, so I'm just going to say this last bit, and then I have this little surprise that I've got for you. So what I would say was, if you're doing any kind of divination work, so working with spirit, yeah, if you're experiencing symptoms, if you like, yeah, do not assume that you are under or suffering from a psychic attack, that something's got you, yeah. So our souls, and I said our souls, yeah, not the other word, they work in very sophisticated ways to pick up information, which is beyond the very dense world, yeah. And you are in control. You are, yeah. You are the I am, yeah. So who's in charge here? Well, yeah, no. So you say what goes and what does not. Never ever forget that, yeah. Be aware when you open a door, they do swing both ways, which is why I say, if you're going to open a circle, if you cast, you close. We have breaking news. Clouds, the internet, radio, TV, Greek place, all divination tools. Okay. Okay. Ian's writing. And messages will come in any and many shapes and forms. So keep your magical eyes peeled. Yeah. Because everything that walks in front of your magical eyes is a message. And don't forget, this is a practice and you might make mistakes when you're beginning, like me not closing a circle and going, oh, bottoms. Where there's little black things, I don't know what they were. It's like black energy, like just running around. It's like, damn, needs to banish now. Send it all to the light. God damn it. Oh dear, I'll never ever forget that. But I learnt my lesson. Yeah, I learnt my lesson. I made a mistake. I learnt my lesson. Okay. Oh yeah, there was one more little thing. So there's two different types of divination mediumship, for want of a better word. Yeah. So when you're doing divination, so I'm only going to talk about the mental side of things, not the physical, because that's a very long list. So you might get, so the answers when they might come through the tool that you're using, but you might get vivid mental pictures. You might hear messages. Yeah. When spirit talks to me, it doesn't talk, it shouts. They shout, which I find really funny. You might get information on future events, personal or, on the bigger picture. You might see, so if you're doing any kind of scrying, you might see or feel, or both, a vision in that water or in that mirror. And when you're doing mirror magic, you can use guided meditation to help you get into that, I'd probably say theta brainwave state, because it's more than an alpha brainwave state, definitely. Psychometry. So if you are like a crystal, for example, if you're handling a crystal and doing a reading on it, that crystal will tell you what you need to know. Yeah, the answer. You could also put automatic writing or drawing in there as well. And I know, so if you are channeling a message and you're doing it in the form of a drawing, that's when you know that you're channeling something, because time disappears. Everything disappears except that thing that you're doing. That's when you know you've got a connection to divine source energy, if you like. Yeah. So there's just a few examples anyway of like what they call mental mediumship. Yeah. Not, well, that's really mental. Not that kind of mental. I mean of the thing that we call the mind, the screen that we are watching. The screen that we are watching. Yeah, there's no more I need to say about that. Okay. So I'm going to open it up, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask anyone here to pick a number between 1 and 6. So first of all, let's open it up and see if anyone wants to share or ask a question.
Angie, I pulled 2 of Swords this morning, and then I watched Dove and Serpent, my regular tarot reader, Paul, and the second card he pulled, first he pulled 4 of Swords, and then he pulled 2 of Swords. I shared with him that I did. But then I pulled 2 of Pentacles later, and then I found a key, old key pouch, a leather one with 4 things for keys, with 2 keys I didn't recognize, so I threw 2 keys away.
No.
And then I saw in the maple thing yesterday when, who supposedly died. There's 2 keys on there, a silver key and a gold key crossed. So there's lots of 2s, so I'm going to pick 2.
Okay. So before I do that, does anyone have anything they want to share or ask?
No, I'm sat here fascinatingly listening.
Okay. So,
Hi, Angie.
hello.
Hello. I have a question.
Okay.
And I would like to ask it now because I have another call at 7, so I'm going to have to go in a few minutes to set my computer up. Excuse me. I have kind of touched on this with you before, but I don't know what the answer to it is.
Yep.
So it's when I'm using a pendulum.
Yep.
How do I stop my higher self, or how do I stop my human self getting tangled up with my higher self for answers? So it's like, because you said something earlier about, getting the answer that you want rather than what the actual answer needs to be. And that's really important to me. It's like, how do I know I'm not intercepting in some way? And
yeah.
I can't think of the right words I want, but do you get the gist of what I'm saying?
Yeah. I think the programming, the pendulum document that I'm going to share in the group, I think that will help.
Okay.
There is also something else you can do. I think it's actually in that document where you do 3 rounds of 4-4-8 breath. You go down, you connect with Mother Earth, you connect with Father Sky in the middle at the heart, and you set that intention that any answers that you get are not influenced by your human self. Yeah.
That's my thing. But can I guarantee that my human self? Sorry, I'm being really obtuse here. But how can I guarantee that my human self won't interfere with the pendulum programming as well? Whatever I do, like you just said.
Because the programming itself connects the pendulum to something a lot bigger than the human self.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, what I would say, Val, is that there is no separation between you and your higher self. What it is, it's the programmed responses that you are talking about. That's what I would say. Because you are everything. You are everything, and everything is you. Oh.
I get that. I really get that. But I sometimes don't trust my answers. Which is why I said to you recently, didn't I, when I was staying with a friend, we actually, so she held the pendulum, or I held the pendulum, and the person without the pendulum asked the answer silently.
Yeah.
And then the person with the pendulum came up with the answer, and we stuck to yes, no's.
Yeah.
And that seemed to work quite well because we couldn't actively hear what the other person was saying because it was all done without words. So that's kind of one way, but you haven't always got another person there, and I haven't got another person here. And also there is always, I was going to say there's the risk of the other person influencing, but if they don't know what the question is, then they can't, their human mind can't. So I'll take that bit back. So yeah.
I mean, the other way to do it as well is you could put, if you've got more than one question, write them down, put them in a hat and draw them out so you don't even know what the question is.
Yes, I've done that. Tried to follow the monkey line. Yes.
Angie, I learned to turn my body into a divining rod.
Yes.
You go forward for yes. I learned forward for yes, back for no, and then just straight up for, it's your choice, basically. It's neutral.
Yeah, you're
in the grocery store. I tried it in the grocery store. Is this for my highest good? And then your body will lean forward or back. And then you don't go in there with any judgment. You pick up anything and say, is this for my highest good? And if you just you're not leaning forward or back, it's on you. So yeah, it's pretty interesting to be able to practice. You got to practice it. Same with anything though, right?
Yeah, and like I was saying earlier, your whole body is a divining device. It's just, getting it to such a point where it can respond to the energies that are around you. Definitely. So Ian's written something here. I'm not sure what it means. Breaking news. Ian says, you're talking about programming. There is only a question and an answer. Okay. Do you mean programming a pendulum? Or programming the self? Okay. While Ian's writing, so Kevin said number 2. That's orange calcite. Let me just take a picture of this crystal, because this is quite amazing. It's a orange calcite point. It's not going to focus on it. That's naughty, that is. Come on, focus. Focus. Right, if I put it there, you're going to focus on the crystal now. Bear with me, guys. That's about the best I'm going to get, I think. So, orange calcite, that connects with your second chakra, which is all about creation. It's connected to the water element. So calcite generally is really good for calcium. So you can put calcite, any calcite, in water overnight and then drink the water. The orange aspect of it is, I see orange as a fun color. It's the color of fun. So it's very uplifting. It's very inspirational. It's very revitalizing. So maybe, Kevin, you feel like you've been a little bit, what would be the word? A little bit laggy. You're not quite on top of your energy at the moment. So the orange calcite brings happiness and joy, fun and laughter. But it works on the lymphatic system as well, and the kidneys, which is all about cleansing and purifying the body. So I don't know if you're going through a cleanse or you're thinking of going through a cleanse, Kevin.
I'm drinking ginger, clove, and cinnamon stick tea with this other type of tea flower tea added to it. So yeah, that would probably work, right?
Yep, that sounds like yeah, especially ginger. Ginger is highly effective for cleansing, definitely.
Cloves are a great parasitic.
And extremely healing as well. So the orange calcite also balances your emotional bodies, removes fears, maximizes potential, facilitates healing on all levels. It's also connected with the reproductive system, the gallbladder, what does that say? Intestines, bones, because obviously calcium is a factor there. It's also connected with the sun, which is really interesting because we're having some crazy solar stuff going on at the moment. So you might, I don't know if you've been feeling that, Kevin, the solar stuff that's happening.
The trick is to vibe higher. You don't even feel it.
Yeah, that works. Okay. Is there anyone else who'd like a crystal reading?
Can you do number 5, please?
Number 5. Ooh, I like this one. This is Damberite, and it's a gold.
I had Damberite. You got me a piece. Do you remember?
I do, because you know what? I've been trying to get a piece like that. I can't get a piece like that anywhere.
Wow.
the bits that I found are small. It's really annoying. But this is gold danburite, which connects to the sun and Leo.
That's amazing.
So, yeah, danburite. Let me just put my light on because I can't see what I'm looking at. There we go. So this is a frequency of consciousness that is around insight and wisdom, and very much about releasing old karmic patterns, those really negative karmic patterns that don't serve you anymore. So this is done through connecting with the heart, which then connects to the part of you that's bigger and sees everything. And through this divine or love consciousness and divine compassion, you can get to unlock those past influences, you could say. So this is the work that we do on ourselves to be able to really get into, and this is the message that I got the other morning. Let's strip this right back. Let's find out who we are. Let's really get into this, shall we? Like we've never got into it before. Let's do this. And that's what this stone does. That's what this stone helps you to do. So it's a really good stone to help you move forward. Let me just take a picture of this. If it'll take a picture of this tiny stone, let me have a look.
Funny chariot was on the bottom of the deck.
Oh, it's not going to take a photo. That's naughty. Oh my goodness. No. It's not going to do it.
So it might be a good idea if I wear mine for a few days then, right?
Yes, I'd say so. What I'll do is I'll take a picture of the card because it's not going to take a photo of.
Yep.
It doesn't even want to. Here we go. Bloop. There we go. Yeah, let me just see if there's anything else about danburite in the book. Let me have a look. Danburite, where are you? Hang on. No, not that one. Danburite. There we go. Connects to the heart, heart crown, higher crown, third eye. It's a high vibrational stone. Links to it's a powerful healer for the heart. There we go. Links to the angelic realms, serenity, eternal wisdom. Excellent for facilitating deep change and leaving the past behind. Acting as a karmic cleanser. Okay, cool. I like that.
I have to go now. Thank you very much. I'll catch up on the rest of it on the replay. Thanks, Angie. Thanks, everybody.
Cool. Okay. Anyone else who would like a reading from a crystal?
Come on, my friend Flower Power is here. Why don't you do it, Flower Power? Hi.
Anyone else? Oh, sorry, Andy, I didn't hear you. Oh no, you're doing the rubber banding today.
Can you hear me?
Sort of. Okay, it's gonna use. There he is. Okay. Is there anybody there? No. I wonder if it's me. I'm just going to go and come back.
You're banding now too, Angie.
Right, let me go and come back. Okay. Right. Can you hear me?
that's much better.
Okay.
So can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, all good.
It's really weird, isn't it?
Right. Shoot me out number 6 then. What's number 6 got in store?
Oh, hematites. Ooh. So hematites, let me take a picture of, I'll take a picture of the card, and then it's a bigger crystal, so it should be able to take a picture of the crystal as well. So hematite is, depending on the hematite, actually, it can be magnetic. So let me just take a picture of this. It's basically meteorite is what it is. So it's very good for, it's a very good crystal for using if you're trying to manifest something. But it's a very uplifting stone. And it's a very consolidating stone. So it connects with the Earth Star chakra, which is beneath your feet. So it's a very grounding crystal. Yeah. It's also very good for the blood because it has iron in it. So if you've got any issues around blood and, you know, where the blood goes, if you like, then hematite is really good for that. Let me just find its other, hang on. It's a massive book I've got here, bear with me. I think that's it there, hematite, yes. Connects to the planet Saturn, actually, which is interesting because Saturn is all about structure. So from what I can tell, Andy, you like a structure, yeah? Doesn't have to be a rigid structure, but
I like a simple structure. Yes.
Yeah. It's also, it's connected to the number 9, actually. So I don't know if the number 9 has any meaning for you.
Only that I know that you can do your 9 times table up to.
Yeah, I like that. That's really cool.
9 rules them all, according to Tesla.
Yeah.
And to Tolkien as well.
My favourite band was called 999.
Oh wow, that's a bit cool.
What about 9-inch nails?
Oh
yeah,
no.
I never really got into 9-inch nails, but definitely 999 was a band that inspired me.
So hematite is good for harmonizing the mind, body, and the spirit.
So how would you then utilize a crystal in this form to do its thing? Would I just wear it around my neck? Would I hold it in my pocket? Clasp it in my hand? Stick it in my ear? Or...
You could put it in your ear if you like. If you can find a crystal that fits in your ear. It would kind of depend. So if you were looking to increase your divination skills, for example, in whatever way, shape or form you were doing that, you would hold it in your left hand because that's incoming. Yeah. You could, I wouldn't necessarily, if you were going to wear it, I'd wear it around your right wrist as opposed to wearing it around the neck. But you could put it in your pocket. I'd put it in the right pocket. You could, I mean, if you create altars in any way, shape or form, you could put it on an altar with, I don't know, that your kind of manifest, you know, what you would like to experience underneath it. If it's a big enough piece like this piece, write it and put it underneath that and see what happens. It's also very good for, you know, if you're doing meditation, but if you're doing meditation in a place where you don't quite feel safe, you can definitely use it. And I would put it in front of you just to kind of keep you protected. So it's very good for that.
Awesome.
Cool.
Well, I can
keep
see
all my
Lotus.
crystals around me.
Yeah, I was going to say, Lotus has got a mic unmuted. Does Lotus have anything to ask? Lotus?
Flower power. Your mic's open. Why don't you say something?
She might be shy.
What do you mean?
Hi, Lotus.
Hi.
Hello.
Hey, what number do you want? Flower power?
3.
3. Ooh, howlites. We like howlites. Howlite is an amazing stone for calm. So it brings a lot of calm energy. Let me see if I can get a picture of this stone. Doesn't want to. No, I'll have to take a picture of the card. Doesn't want to take a picture tonight. So it's a very soothing stone. You can actually, so if you wanted to diffuse, so if you have an energy in a particular room that you don't like, so it might be like if people have been arguing in a room or something, and they always argue in that room, for example, you can grid the room with howlites to kind of absorb that energy and prevent further arguments in that room. So it's a really, really good crystal for really bringing that energy down. So it's also very good if you can't sleep. You can either put a piece by the bed, or you can grid around your bed with howlite. It's also really good for worry. So if you worry a lot, it's really good for that as well. It's another stone that is really good for the bones, the teeth, anything. I suppose also nails, hair, all that kind of stuff. And it's quite a nice. It's really nice to hold as like a palm stone or as a worry stone.
Yeah, for the black amethyst, I think that's okay for the negative energy.
Oh, I love amethyst for that. Yes, I love amethyst.
Yeah, I didn't even know there was such a thing as black amethyst. I found some the other day. It's amazing, isn't it?
It's a small stone.
Yes.
Yeah.
So other things around howlites, it's connected to the number 2, the third eye. So it's obviously really good for your intuitive work. You can also use it in meditation to help you attune to the particular state, the alpha theta brainwave state, and also helps you to receive wisdom. So that either in meditation or just as you're going about, what you do. You can actually place it on the third eye to really get in touch with your intuition, which is quite an interesting. So it's always interesting when you place crystals. I like to put quartz on the third eye if I've got a headache. It just completely eliminates it, which is really nice.
I have my amethyst held by my bandana on my third eye.
That's cool.
That's possible. That's possible.
Yeah, and the last thing I'd say about howlite is it really allows you to be true to yourself and your inner knowing. So I don't know if you've been on that kind of a journey, Lotus.
What do you mean?
If you've been on a journey of self-discovery, like really getting in touch with who you truly are. How light can really help with that.
Oh, yes, yes. Years ago, I'm so busy with everything. And for now, I think enough is enough. But in this world, with vaccines and corona and so, and everything is going wrong because the pineapple glands with vaccines, corona, that is not good for the pineapple glands. So we must protect ourselves for these things. Otherwise, we cannot, open our third eye and the pineal glands. I hear so.
Yeah.
I don't know if that is true, but there's a lot going on in the world. It's not always spiritual, you know?
Cool. So would anyone else like a reading from a crystal? If not, what I'll do is I'll pull a crystal for the whole group. Okay, I'm going to pull rhodonite. Rhodonite's one of my all-time favorite stones. Has helped me a lot to transmute stuff around the heart chakra, definitely. Aside from rose quartz, rhodonite has been one of the biggest ones for me. And I think the reason why is because I have a connection to the planet Mars. And rhodonite connects to the planet Mars. So for me, that's, I mean, you know, I think maybe I need to do one on planets and their energies, because Mars gets a bit of a bad rap. But Mars is actually more about the divine will than anything else. Yes, it has the warrior aspect, and I think that's what I was healing through rhodonite with my heart chakra. But what rhodonite does, so this is for the whole group, yeah, it helps you to let go of the stuff that's in the past that is no longer here, and that, you know, you don't want that stuff in the past to still have a hold on you now. Yeah. So what it does is it replaces that hurt and pain with forgiveness and an openness. So it creates an open-hearted space, if you like. It breaks down the emotional barriers of protection. So the big, massive walls that I'd put up for years, they came down. You could even say it was a tower moment. And it's a really good stone for trauma. So if you are having like some kind of replay of something traumatic, rhodonite, I cannot praise rhodonite enough. Breaking news. Always come back to the heart when troubled by personal issues or world issues. So hand on the heart and release it. Release. So if you're doing any of this work, always release it to the part of you that is bigger and sees everything, or the I am presence, whatever you want to call it. Release it to that being, because that being knows, or release it to the Mother Earth. That, you know, these beings that are bigger than, you know, this little tiny thing that we are, though we're not, you know, these things know what to do with that energy. They know what to do with it. Yeah. So release it to those beings. Okay. I am done. Stick a fork in me.
Thank you very much, Angie. Do you want to wrap it up with a few final words before I stop the recording, or are you happy to do that right now?
No, I'm stick a fork in me. I'm done.